It's Lance and Larry tracking the pack. The preseason is over. Time for the games that really count. The regular season, we bring in the Rock, Larry McCarren. And Larry, the question that all the fans want to know, how ready is that Packers defense for the read option of the 49ers?
Well, if they're not ready this week, they'll never be ready, Lance. They spent the whole offseason worried about it, went to Texas A&M, and I'm not kidding you. From day one of the first OTA, the first thing the defense did was line up against the pistol and work on the read option type offensive system. So they've been working on it. They're working on it this week, and I would expect to see Colin Kaepernick to pay a much bigger price than he did last year for running the option, because the NFL has said the quarterback running the option is not a defenseless player. You can hit the dude, and I expect the Packers to hit him. And so it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But trust me, they have spent a ton of time on that particular play.
Great point, because Clay Matthews came out and said that obviously this week, Larry. And can the Packers, kind of hand in hand with that, can they handle Kaepernick better this time around? Because he's got quite an arm, too, in addition to those legs.
You know, he's a very, very dangerous player. As you mentioned, the arm, and outside of the read option, he's also very dangerous on the scramble, which to some extent negates the pass rush. They're just working on it today in the sense that, hey, you just can't go in there willy-nilly and beat your guy. You got to be well aware where the quarterback's at, and that does take some starch out of the pass rush. So he offers double trouble for the Green Bay Packers, both with his legs and with the arm, as you mentioned.
Larry, when you played, there were teams that obviously had your number, your team's number. Today, around the locker room, it was, hey, this isn't a revenge game, but as a player, deep down, do you look for a little bit of that revenge, or is there a different motivating factor when a team has your number?
Well, it's hard to say. I think it's very individual. The 49ers certainly had the Packers number last season, beat them the first game, beat them the last game the Packers played, and that last game probably beat them worse than the final score indicated. But I think it's kind of hard for most people to stay angry for 7 months. That's a long time, and generally speaking, you have nobody to blame but yourself for a poor performance. So it'll be interesting to see. Everybody says revenge is not a factor, but I will say this. You cue up that video and you watch it, which they have this week. Mike McCarthy kind of downplayed it, but they have watched it, and they've watched it plenty. You see that, you see yourself performing in a subpar manner, and you want to fix that. Self-redemption, I think, plays as big a role as revenge in those type of situations.
Mike McCarthy coming out today and saying that the defense is playing the best of the three phases of the Packer team, but then he specifically mentioned the defensive line. Larry, is he laying down the gauntlet a little bit for that line to step up and to pressure and to rush?
I don't know if I've ever seen a gauntlet in a football sense. I imagine is he telling these guys they got to do it? Well, I suppose he is. But if you look at the Packers' defensive line, they kept 7, which is a lot, especially when you consider in nickel and dime situations, they have just 2 on the field, and they play plenty of nickel and dime, but they kept 7 of them, which leads me to believe that there were players that didn't make this team because the Packers thought the defensive linemen were better players. And I think Mike McCarthy is basically saying, guys, you got to play like it. And you also have #1 draft choice, that kind of investment in Dayton Jones. So it's an area the Packers have invested heavily in, both in terms of draft choices and in keeping those fellows around. They've got to pay some dividends for that investment.
How much can the offense be in rhythm, Larry, with Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb both returning now for this game?
Well, I think because if it was a situation where they were newcomers to the Packers system, I'd say no way. But because they have so many repetitions with Aaron Rodgers over the past couple years, I don't think it's as big a problem as it would seem to be. And they also, over the past couple of weeks anyway, now Cobb and Nelson only played a couple snaps in Kansas City, but prior to that, they were practicing a lot and practicing with Aaron Rodgers a lot. And the timing seemed to be there. And I want to tell you, when those guys are on the field and Aaron Rodgers is throwing them the ball, the Packers are a different offensive team. There's just a different standard there. And it would surprise me if the timing, rhythm, as you mentioned, so forth, are a big issue because of these guys' history.
Final thing, Larry, the young tackles. 21-year-old rookie David Bakhtiari on the left side. 24-year-old Don Barclay in his second season on the right side. What do they do to need to settle in and protect Aaron Rodgers and run block as well?
Well, the youngest pair of offensive tackles, starting offensive tackles in the history of the universe, I think, Lance. And they're going to have their hands full because they got Ahmad Brooks on one side and Aldon Smith on the other side. But the big thing when you're playing against good people, or in some cases great people, the biggest thing is you. And minding your manners when it comes to the little things. Execute your techniques, your fundamentals, to the absolute best of your ability, and make that supposedly great player do something great to beat you. And it starts with the little things. And both those guys, now Don Barclay, not his first rodeo. He started that playoff game out there last year. He's been out there before. David Bakhtiari, you've talked to him in the locker room, kind of mature beyond his years, and it's not like his eyes are deer in the headlight. He kind of expects to play, and he expects to play well. And but the big thing for those guys as they face these good rushers from the 49ers is take care of their own business first. Mind their own manners fundamentally first. And if they do that, then the other guy's got to beat them. And sometimes you'll find out the other guy can't beat you.
And Larry, when the lights come on bright, you're always a primetime performer, and we appreciate that. The regular season, you amp it up, man.
I'm like a deer in the headlights.
All right, we'll look forward to your call on the Packers Radio Network in San Francisco. That's Lance and Larry tracking the pack.